MissiologyII, Lecture 13. Ron has a monster drink. How's it going? Thumbs up. All right. Fast on this because it's. I just got to go fast on this one. I'm sorry, online students. Slow it down. If you want MissiologyII, Lecture 13, preparing for the field. Come on in, sir. Home church. There needs to be an official. So we get ready to go to the field. So an official commissioning service. And vote to send you forth with a specific ministry to a specific place. We covered that, I think, in missiology. I feel that this is best done the Sunday prior to the missionary leaving for the field. Too close. There we go. Not leaving to begin deputation. So this is like when the Andersons go off. We'll do it just before they go. The Vinceys, we did it just before they went, right? When the Warners go. Within a week or so before they go. That's, I think, the best time. It's important clearly understands one's status on the field, so I had to ask that when I was sent out. What am I going to be doing? Are you going to be working with a veteran missionary, in that foreign place for 1 to 2 years before you actually start a church? Is that what you're being commissioned to do? Are you going to plant a church right away? Is it going to be a mission work? Yeah, these are good questions. Your home church might be given responsibilities for helping you out. So, like bank account, mail outs. Yeah. But once they are officially an independent, autonomous church, it gets a little risky if you're still involved with all that, especially the bank account. I wouldn't advise that. They need to be their own. The home church might be given responsibility for sending in mass. These reports, yeah, we covered that. It might be wise to leave a power of attorney with the home church's pastor. They're in Nairobi, Kenya, wherever they're at, and they got a problem and they need someone to take care of it.
In the States, yeah.
Yeah, in the States, there's ways they can do it now. It's a lot easier with the internet and all, but still, it's good to have maybe the pastor has power of attorney. Or someone.
Or family member.
Someone you trust, yeah. Visas. Passports are relatively easy to obtain, but visa approval can involve a lot of money and red tape.
Yeah.
A tourist visa is somewhat easy to get and lasts for 1 to 6 months, depending on what country you're in. It often can be renewed one time. A permanent resident visa is the desired visa to have, but it's not easy to get. Some countries like Australia require a large sum of money, upwards around $30,000 US, to be already in a bank account in that country prior to the missionary being granted even probably application for that. How many missionaries have $30,000 in the bank? Well, I guess if you're going to Australia, you need that. Health. A little blurb here. It is prudent to obtain a comprehensive medical exam prior to going, especially if it's a kind of a rough place. They don't have a lot of competent medical facilities. Make sure you have a year's worth of medication, immunizations up to date. I think you should be in excellent health prior to going to the foreign field. But how many missionaries do you know of that are in excellent health? Ever? Now, this is the older ones. I mean, you don't have a 20-year-old, a 24-year-old that's in great shape. But most are obese and have several chronic medical conditions. Doesn't mean they can't go, but okay. So you knew you're going to be going. What?
That's why you're not on the field, because you're healthy and you're not obese, and so you.
Well, that's right. In order to go, you have to be that way. Yeah. Though the Apostle Paul was not the epitome of health.
Right.
By the way, epitome spelled right. I had to look it up for about an hour.
Epitome.
Yeah, epitome. I put in I and it wasn't getting anything. I tried an E, also then I got something. Okay. Finances. Okay, why not save up money? Look at how much things cost. A container shipment up to $10,000, $1,500 for plane tickets, one person even sometimes. One missionary preparing for the foreign field sent out a letter. I don't know if you remember getting this or me reading it a while back, requesting $25,000 for startup costs. That included plane tickets and the container shipment and visas. 25 grand.
Yeah, that's
We already took him out for support. He wants 25 grand. All right, were they saving money? Maybe they couldn't. Maybe paying off debts. But wow, thanks for letting us know right at the end. Sticker shock. So why not save up money long before your departure is planned? So is it the church's responsibility to take care of all your bills, or churches out there? Some of course set a date and they keep postponing it, because they don't have 100% of their support in, and whatever it might be. There's people that are dying and going to hell. We need to get them there. Someone read the verse.
For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest haply, after he hath laid the foundation, and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build, and he was not able to finish.
Yeah. So plan it out. And I know we all have trouble with that. We're just called, I'm trying to plan out college station and all that. But the Lord told me not to think about finances. So for me, I'm not supposed to think about it. If He's told you that, so be it. Trust Him. But get there when He tells you to go, regardless of the money situation. Tent making. What did Paul do once he got to a field? You can read about it, but we know that he was a tent maker. Now, I don't have it in me, but I was just had a thought that he didn't have a fancy-dancy, highfalutin job. It was something that he could kind of just, and plus it was flexible, he could just do it on his own. So when we look at what he did there, I haven't studied that much, but tent making, you can do on your own. I don't know how long it takes to learn that, but probably not a real long time. Maybe it was trained as a younger person. Mm-hmm. But it's a skill, and he can make money at it probably almost anywhere he went. Now today, tent making,
It's like being
I don't have a need for a tent, but back then there was.
It could be like being a handyman or a carpenter or someone who works as a construction worker.
Yeah.
You can get a job anywhere, literally.
Right.
You can just go get a job almost any town.
Yeah, or be your own contractor where you can call your own shop. So those are ideal. It appears that once Paul arrived on the field, he got busy working and making some money in order to survive. He found some Christians to fellowship. You have to read those verses, but summarizing here. He found some Christians to hang around with. He found a place to stay with a fellow Christian who allowed them to stay there for free, it looks like. So this is how Paul did, at least there. Found some odd jobs to do, and found some Christians, of course, and they took him on in without moolah. He came there without moolah. What?
I was just thinking if I get there before you, not that I'm planning on it,
You're
but
gonna
you
move
can
in.
come and stay in our trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So one way you're grinning at us.
It's just like,
Well, we might need that. Are you a fellow Christian? Yes. Okay. Good. Hey, I don't think he had monthly support there. He stayed for a year and a half. If you read those verses, I should have read them. And had a good group of Baptists ready, and went on to start another one. Supposed to live of the gospel. Culture shock. It is important to assimilate into the culture where you are going. So, I don't know, I just hear stories, but don't stand out as an obnoxious, overconfident, poorly dressed, wealthy, loud American.
yeah.
Assimilate, I mean, other than skin colors, things you can't change, they should say, I think that's a fellow Italian or fellow African, except he's white with blonde hair. Okay, those you can't get around. But maybe you put on the standard Nairobi Kenyan dress, if it's appropriate. Why can't you put on those type of colors? Why do you got to walk around like that in Kenya, Brother Dean?
You can get away with a robe there.
I mean, businesses, yeah, it depends, yeah.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, but just to do it, this is what I'm American. This is what Americans dress. You don't compromise your convictions, though. But Paul became, as a Jew, you can read through that, he did everything he could without compromise to win the lost. Assimilate it into culture. Be like them. Understand them. Help there to be a bridge there. So to try and avoid the culture shock that awaits you, well, my advice is start living more and more like that culture that you're going to now, while you're in the States. What?
I don't think anybody has beards in Texas, do they?
No, so you're going to
Shave.
have to shave or just grow that fancy cool goatee with the rubber bands in it or something. So why not start getting ready? Start getting rid of the American stuff. Start selling stuff, brother and others. Brother Anderson, help your wife and family with this because it's going to be tougher for them. Do without, live simply. And the most shocking issue of all, usually culture shocking, is language, if there is a language barrier. So be studying the language intensely. Intensely, as soon as you suspect where God has called you. That's not Caddyshack. I don't know what that is, though.
One dangerous groundhog.
Yeah, not to get in the pose like that.
Why does the word Dane
I
come to
think
mind when I
it's-
see that?
So it's dangerous out there.
I think it's a little Photoshop, yeah.
Yeah. Just think about if you're going to the field of Iraq or North Korea, Mozambique, or Liberia, you really got to think things out how to basically stay alive. Not just survive, but stay alive. So you gotta be, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves, be therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So it's another issue. Pastor Youngie Chow, Full Gospel Church, Seoul, Korea, world's largest church, told me, not me, well, whoever wrote this thing, told this person that a young man should not attempt to start a church until he has fasted and prayed for 10 days. Anyways, you're going into danger zone, whether it's physically dangerous to live there or, well, it's going to be spiritually dangerous because the devil's going to try and destroy you. And then we did a good time on this, the better half. The better half's the wife. So be sure your wife is convinced. Who wrote this? Well, this was not me. I'm sorry. Once again, references aren't there. At least type it in.
Elmer Towns.
Oh, where does it say that?
First paragraph. First paragraph.
Yeah.
At the end of first paragraph. The better half.
Oh, there, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, there.
There it is. Yeah, it was in the So be sure your wife is convinced. George Zaris tells young men that the most important ingredients in building a church are faith, works, and a helpmeet, in that order. Grant Rice advises men not to start churches if their wives are not committed to the ministry. Well, that makes sense. The pressures will be so great and quitting so easy. The author, Elmer Towns, jokingly advises his students at Liberty Baptist Seminary, be sure you marry above yourself. By that he means that the wife will have some spiritual assets that the husband lacks, and when his give out, she can keep him going. Above yourself. The missionary that is called, so the called person is the man. The wife would not be scripturally termed as a missionary, and she is thus not called for such, but is called, I believe, called to follow her husband. She can have an impression on her, she can have excitement about the calling, she might, that her husband has, she might feel the same thing. I'm just talking about the spiritual calling is to the man. They don't both get it. That doesn't mean she's like blank on it, but they don't. It's going to be different on the spiritual side. That's why oftentimes a wife is like, I don't understand this. Her job is to follow, her calling is to follow her husband. So, but God's going to give him peace. She just needs to be obedient, submissive, and all that, and trust her husband. Maybe check it out a little bit. So tell me about it, hubby. So her calling is to be a submissive helper to her missionary husband. What happens if, though, she feels like God hasn't called her there? I don't feel God calling me there. Again, God doesn't call you. He calls me. You follow me, but God will give you peace if you do what He says to do. And I believe that's true. When her heart changes and will follow her husband, I believe God will give her peace. If she's not willing to do that, God's not going to give her peace. I don't believe it. She's got to get her heart right. Now, husband, you make sure you're making the right decision, though. Because you're leading your family off in the boonies. There's a great question as to whether families of the apostles went with them on their journeys or not. There's no evidence that they did. The only statements made are that they traveled by twos, and they were men. Now, there's some cases where you can make for Peter and others that they had to have their families around them sometime. But at some point they did, I believe. They didn't leave their families for 30 years while they're on the mission field.
No.
So, and there's, like here, there's 70 also. Surely one of these groups was married with a family, but I don't think they were with them initially on the initial effort. They came later. So, let me read my notes and we're done. So it might be wise to initially go out, evangelize in the field first as men in groups of two, set things up, then have the family come and join later, 3 months later, whatever it would be, a month or two, I don't know. A third world nation might take some time before the hut is something that the wife is going to be comfortable in and the two teenage daughters.